The day the sky changed started like any other. Blue turned to black as the massive ships blocked the sun. People around the world looked up and knew everything was different now. Jack Miller sat in his office at United Defense Force headquarters. His coffee grew cold as he stared at the screens showing the alien ships. 37 of them, each bigger than the largest aircraft carrier ever built. They just appeared. No warning, no signs of approach. "Sir, we're getting a signal," said Lisa, his communications officer. Her voice shook slightly. It's directed at us." Jack nodded. "Put it through." The main screen flickered. The face that appeared wasn't what anyone expected. The alien had gray-blue skin with ridges where eyebrows would be on a human. 4 yellow eyes blinked at different times. When it spoke, its mouth moved wrong, like the muscles worked differently. "People of Earth, we are the Kralaxian Imperium. Your planet is now under our protection and control. Resistance is unnecessary and wasteful. You have 30 Earth days to prepare for colonization. Leadership will transfer to Kralaxian authority. This is the natural order." The message repeated 3 times before cutting off. Jack picked up the red phone. "Mr. President, we need to call the Security Council, now." 12 hours later, Jack stood in the back of a packed United Nations emergency session. President Laura Bell took the podium. Her gray suit matched her serious expression. "We need expert help understanding what we're dealing with," she said. "Dr. Diane Murphy, please share your findings." Diane Murphy walked to the stage. Her hands trembled as she adjusted her glasses. As the world's top expert in language patterns, she'd been working non-stop since the message arrived. "The translation we received was accurate but incomplete," she explained. "I've analyzed their language structure. The Kralaxians don't see this as a request or even a demand. In their communication, this is simply stating a fact. They expect no resistance because they've never encountered meaningful resistance." The room grew quiet. They see themselves as apex predators. In their language, there's no difference between colonize and consume. They're not here to live alongside us. They're here to take everything. President Bell stepped forward again. "What are our defense options?" General Pete Rogers stood up. "Madam President, our conventional weapons may be ineffective against their technology, but we've detected energy, fluctuations in their shields. With more data, we might find weaknesses." "How do we get that data?" the president asked. "We need to engage them," Rogers said simply. "Draw them into a controlled confrontation." The debate raged for hours. Some nations wanted to try peaceful communication. Others suggested immediate surrender to save lives. Still others demanded full military response. As the sun rose the next morning, President Bell addressed the world. "People of Earth, yesterday, we were not alone. Today we face a choice that will define humanity forever. The Kralaxian Imperium demands our surrender, our resources, our home. They expect no resistance because they see us as prey." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "We are not prey. We did not evolve, build civilizations, create art and music and science, only to surrender when challenged. Today, we stand, together as one people, one planet. Our response to the Kralaxian ultimatum is simple. We choose to fight." Back at headquarters, Jack watched monitors as military units worldwide moved into position. Fighter jets scrambled. Missile defense systems activated. Scientists worked frantically to understand alien technology. In her lab across town, Diane Murphy recorded new transmissions between alien ships. She noticed something interesting in their communications, something like surprise, maybe even concern. "They didn't expect us to say no," she whispered to herself. The first shots of the war were fired 3 days later, when a Kralaxian scout ship approached a military base in Nevada. Earth had given its answer. The aliens had demanded war, and humans would show them exactly what that meant. Image description for Leonardo AI. A dramatic scene showing massive alien ships hovering over a major city skyline, blocking the sunlight and casting everything in shadow. The ships are dark metallic with blue energy patterns, oval-shaped with strange protruding structures. Below, tiny human figures look upward at the imposing sight. The contrast between the dark ships and the city's lights creates an ominous atmosphere. A government building is visible with officials looking at screens showing the alien crafts. Major Alan Wright had not slept in 3 days. His office walls were covered with star maps and alien ship diagrams. As head of military intelligence, he needed answers fast. "Sir, you should see this," said Officer Greg Parker, rushing in with a tablet. We decoded more of their transmissions. Alan took the tablet and read quickly. His eyes widened. "Get this to the president," he ordered. "The Kralaxians have done this before. 7 other civilizations, all gone." Across town in a secure lab, Dr. Samantha Green carefully cut into a piece of tissue. The sample came from a Kralaxian pilot who died when his scout ship crashed in the Arizona desert. She wore a protective suit just in case. "Their cellular structure is fascinating," she said to her assistant. "Look at these membranes. They're extremely sensitive to copper. Even small amounts seem toxic to them." She made notes and continued her work. Every bit of knowledge could help humanity survive. At the engineering complex, Paul Evans worked with a team taking apart the crashed alien ship. The metal was unlike anything they had seen before, but the engines were the real prize. "It's not rocket science," Paul joked, though no one laughed. "Well, actually it is rocket science, but not like ours. They use a gravitational field manipulation system. If we can reverse engineer this..." His team worked day and night. Within a week, they had a working prototype that could potentially match Kralaxian speeds. In his office, Alan Wright studied everything they learned about the aliens. The Kralaxians evolved from pack hunters on a harsh planet. Their society was built around dominance and submission. They didn't have words for peace or cooperation in their language. Most importantly, the Kralaxians had never faced real resistance before. The 7 planets they conquered had all surrendered quickly. "They expected us to give up," Alan explained in the emergency meeting. "Our refusal has confused them. They don't know how to respond to a prey that fights back." President Bell nodded. "So we hit them harder. Show them humans aren't prey." General Frank Simmons stood up next. His plan used the new information to create a global defense network. "The Kralaxians attack in standard patterns," he explained. "They're predictable once you know what to look for. We can use this against them." The first real battle came 3 weeks after the aliens arrived. The Kralaxians attacked military bases around the world at the same time. They expected to destroy Earth's defenses in one strike. They were wrong. At the Atlantic Naval Station, Lieutenant Carol Bennett and her sailors were ready. Their ships had new weapons based on Dr. Green's discovery about copper sensitivity. When the alien fighters swooped down, they faced unexpected resistance. "Fire countermeasures," Carol ordered. Her ship launched special missiles that released copper-based particles near the alien craft. The particles didn't damage the ships directly, but affected the pilots inside. Several alien ships veered off course, crashing into the ocean. Around the world, similar scenes played out. Human forces used the Kralaxians' predictable tactics against them. Paul's engineering team had retrofitted several fighter jets with the new propulsion system, allowing them to match the aliens' maneuverability. By nightfall, the Kralaxians pulled back to regroup. For the first time, they had failed to overwhelm a target planet. On the main Kralaxian ship, Supreme War Leader Vrax received the battle reports. The large alien slammed his fist on the control panel. "Impossible," he growled to his commanders. "They are just humans. How did they resist?" His second-in-command, Battlemaster Kren, looked nervous. "The humans fight differently. They adapt quickly. Our standard tactics..." "Then we will not use standard tactics," Vrax interrupted. "Prepare the destroyer ships. If they want a real war, we will show them what that means." Back on Earth, Alan Wright watched the alien fleet reposition. The initial human victory felt good, but he knew the real war was just beginning. Image description for Leonardo AI. A high-tech military laboratory where scientists in protective gear examine alien technology. The centerpiece is a partially disassembled alien scout ship with strange metal and glowing components. Dr. Samantha Green in a hazmat suit is analyzing bluish-gray alien tissue samples under advanced microscopes with holographic displays showing cellular structures. Engineer Paul Evans stands nearby studying engine components with glowing energy signatures. Wall screens show diagrams of Kralaxian biology and ship schematics. Military personnel in the background are monitoring incoming data. The lab has a mix of clinical white surfaces and the alien technology's eerie blue glow. The Kralaxian attack began at dawn. Hundreds of fighter ships descended on major cities and military bases. Their weapons tore through buildings and left smoking craters in the earth. Lieutenant Carol Bennett stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, watching alien ships fill the sky above the Atlantic Naval Station. "All hands to battle stations," she ordered, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Activate copper defense systems and prepare main batteries." The Liberty was one of 50 ships equipped with the new weapons. They wouldn't have enough for everyone. Many would have to fight with conventional weapons. "First wave incoming," called. The radar officer, Carol, gripped the command rail. "Fire on my mark." The alien ships swooped down like birds of prey. They moved faster than anything human-made, except for the few fighters with Paul Evans' new engines. "Mark." The Liberty's guns roared to life. Instead of regular shells, they fired special rounds that burst into clouds of copper particles. Other ships joined in, creating a web of copper in the air. The first wave of alien ships flew straight into the cloud. Many veered off course immediately, their pilots affected by the copper. Some crashed into the water. Others collided with each other. But there were too many. For every ship they stopped, 3 more took its place. "Direct hit on Sector 7, reported the damage control officer. The ship rocked as alien weapons found their mark. Hull breach contained. Fires on decks 3 and 4. Carol knew they couldn't hold out forever, but they didn't need to win. They just needed to hold the line while the real plan unfolded. At the Pentagon, General Frank Simmons coordinated the global defense. Screens showed battles raging around the world. He had studied the Kralaxian attack patterns and positioned forces accordingly. "They're following the same strategy they used on planet Doral," he told his staff, pointing to intercepted alien communications. 3 waves of fighters followed by troop carriers for ground invasion. Thanks to this knowledge, Earth forces weren't caught by surprise. Anti-aircraft systems targeted the exact spots where Kralaxian ships would appear. Underground bunkers protected key personnel and equipment. In the skies above Denver, human fighter pilots engaged the aliens directly. The retrofitted jets with Evans propulsion systems could match Kralaxian maneuverability. "Bandit at 2 o'clock, called Captain Joe Martinez over the radio. He pulled his fighter into a tight turn that would have been impossible a week ago, using their predictive patterns against them. The Kralaxian pilot tried to shake him, but followed the standard evasion sequence that human pilots now recognized. Joe anticipated the alien's move and fired when the ship banked right, exactly as expected. "Target down," he reported, as the alien craft spiraled toward the ground. After 6 hours of fighting, the tide began to turn. The Kralaxians had expected a quick victory. Instead, they faced a prepared enemy who understood their tactics. By sunset, alien ships began to withdraw. They had destroyed many targets but suffered unexpected losses. The troop carriers never even landed. At Atlantic Station, Carol Bennett's ship was still afloat, though heavily damaged. She watched the alien vessels retreat into the clouds. "Damage. Report," she ordered. 12 ships lost, ma'am. 8 severely damaged, including us. But we held the line." Carol nodded. The cost had been high, but they had proven humans wouldn't be easy to conquer. In orbit, Supreme War Leader Vrax received the battle reports with growing rage. "Impossible," he snarled. "How did they know where we would strike? How did their ships match our speed?" "The humans learn quickly," said Battlemaster Kren. "They study our methods and adapt." Vrax stared at the planet below. No species had ever caused the Kralaxian fleet to retreat before. "Prepare a message to the homeworld," he ordered. "Request reinforcements, and begin preparation for the planet." Killer weapon. On Earth, celebrations were short-lived. Leaders knew this was only the beginning. The aliens would return stronger and angrier. But now humanity had something it didn't have before. Hope. They could fight back. They could win. Image description for Leonardo AI, an intense naval battle scene with alien ships attacking Earth's fleet. In the foreground, the USS Liberty fires specialized weapons that create copper particle clouds in the sky. The copper clouds glow with a distinct reddish-brown hue against the dark blue ocean. Lieutenant Carol Bennett stands on the bridge, confidently giving orders while explosions illuminate the scene. Multiple Kralaxian fighter ships, sleek, with blue energy trails, swoop down toward the water. Some alien vessels are veering off course after hitting the copper clouds, while others are crashing into the ocean with dramatic splashes and smoke. The sky is filled with crossfire between human and alien weapons, creating a chaotic light show of blues, reds, and oranges reflecting off the churning ocean surface. Dr. Kevin Hayes worked in the basement of a building that officially didn't exist. His lab was filled with computers and strange equipment. On the main screen, lines of code scrolled faster than any human could read. "This is against every rule we have," said his assistant Mary. "The Oracle system isn't approved for activation." Kevin didn't look up from his keyboard. "Rules won't matter if we're all dead." The Oracle was an experimental quantum AI system designed to process information far beyond human capability. The government had stopped the project, worried about an AI they couldn't control. But Kevin had continued in secret. "Final connection complete," he said, hitting the enter key. The screens flickered, then stabilized with a pulsing blue light. "Oracle, analyze all Kralaxian battle data," Kevin commanded. The system hummed as it processed terabytes of information gathered from every battle so far. Minutes later, text appeared on screen. "Look at this," Kevin pointed. "The Oracle found something we missed. The Kralaxians use neural interfaces to control their ships and communicate. The system runs on a specific frequency range." Mary leaned closer. "If we could disrupt that frequency, we could crash their entire network," Kevin finished. He grabbed his phone. "I need to call Captain Martinez." Captain Susan Martinez led a special operations team trained for high-risk missions. When she received Kevin's call, she immediately requested a meeting with military command. "The plan is risky," she told General Simmons and the other officers. "We need to place these disruptive transmitters near 3 Kralaxian command ships. That means getting close enough to be detected." "How close?" asked the general. "Within 1 kilometer, Susan replied. "We'd need stealthcraft with the new propulsion systems." The room fell silent. It seemed impossible. Then Engineer Paul Evans spoke up. "What if we disguise our ships to look like theirs? We have enough salvaged parts to modify 3 small vessels." 12 hours later, Susan and her team prepared for launch. Their ships now looked like smaller Kralaxian scout vessels from the outside. Inside, they carried the frequency disruptors that Kevin had designed based on Oracle's analysis. "Remember, we only get one shot at this," Susan told her team. "Place the transmitters and activate them simultaneously. Then get out fast." They launched under cover of darkness. The disguised ships slipped past the outer Kralaxian defense line, undetected. Susan's heart pounded as they approached the first command ship, a massive vessel that controlled hundreds of fighter craft. "Holding position at 1 kilometer, reported her pilot. "No signs they've spotted us." "Deploy transmitter," Susan ordered. A small device ejected from their ship, attaching itself to a floating piece of debris near the alien vessel. The other 2 teams reported similar success. "All transmitters in position," Susan confirmed. "Activate." "On my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." The transmitters powered up, sending precisely calibrated frequencies that interfered with the Kralaxian neural network. The effect was immediate. Across the alien fleet, ships suddenly lost control. Some drifted aimlessly, others fired weapons randomly. Communication between vessels ceased completely. In his command center, General Simmons watched in amazement as the enemy fleet fell into chaos. "It's working," he said. "Get the president." On the main Kralaxian ship, Supreme War Leader Vrax struggled to maintain control as his neural interface filled with static. Nothing responded to his commands. "What is happening?" he demanded, ripping the neural device from his head. Restore communications. His officers worked frantically, but their systems remained offline. For the first time in Kralaxian history, their technological superiority had been neutralized. After an hour, they managed to restore basic functions using older manual controls. Vrax sent a message to Earth, not a demand, but an offer. Humans, you have proven more resourceful than expected. We offer negotiation terms. Cease your attacks, and we will discuss division of territories. In the White House, President Bell read the message with her advisors. Jack Miller and Alan Wright stood by, waiting for her response. They're scared, Alan said. The Oracle system predicts they're trying to buy time until reinforcements arrive. President Bell nodded, then typed her reply, "There will be no terms. You came for war, you will have it." The message was brief but clear. Humanity would not stop until the invaders were defeated completely. Image description for Leonardo AI. A high-tech underground laboratory bathed in blue light where Dr. Kevin Hayes activates the Oracle system. The Oracle is visualized as a central column of pulsing blue-white energy surrounded by multiple holographic screens displaying alien code. General Frank Simmons stood before a room of military leaders from around the world. Behind him, a large screen showed detailed plans for Operation Thunderstrike. "For weeks we've been on the defensive," he said. "Today, that changes. The Oracle system has given us everything we need to launch our first major offensive." The plan was bold. Earth would no longer just defend, it would take the fight directly to the Kralaxian fleet. "Admiral John Harris will lead our space forces," Simmons continued, nodding to a stern-faced man in a Navy uniform. "The retrofitted fleet is ready for launch from our hidden bases on Mars and the Moon." Few people knew that Earth had been building these secret bases for years. Now, they would serve as the launching point for humanity's counterattack. In her lab, Dr. Samantha Green finalized her work on the nanite weapons. These microscopic machines were designed to target specific weaknesses in Kralaxian biology that she had discovered from studying the alien tissue samples. "The nanites will ignore human cells completely," she explained to the military officers observing her work. "But when they detect Kralaxian biology, they'll disrupt their nervous systems. Non-lethal but completely incapacitating." One officer raised an eyebrow. "Non-lethal? These aliens tried to wipe us out." Samantha looked up from her microscope. "We win by being better than them, not by becoming them." On Mars Base Alpha, Admiral Harris inspected the fleet of ships that would carry the fight to the enemy. Thanks to Paul Evans's engineering team, these vessels now contained hybrid technology. Human, design enhanced with reverse-engineered Kralaxian systems. "Every ship has been equipped with the new gravitational propulsion system," Paul explained as they walked through the hangar. "And each carries Dr. Green's nanite delivery systems." Harris nodded approvingly. "How many ships?" 250 combat-ready vessels, Paul replied. "Plus support craft. The Kralaxians don't know they exist." The day of the attack arrived. Earth forces maintained their defensive positions, giving no indication of the coming strike. Meanwhile, the Mars and Moon fleets prepared for launch. Admiral Harris addressed his pilots and crews one final time. "Today we show these invaders that humanity will not fall easily. We fight not just for our survival, but for every species these conquerors have destroyed before us." The Earth fleet launched in perfect formation, emerging from hidden hangars, built into the Martian landscape. From the lunar base, a second wave joined them. Together they accelerated toward Earth orbit, where the Kralaxian armada still lingered. In his command center, Kevin Hayes monitored the battle through the Oracle system. The quantum AI predicted Kralaxian responses and suggested countermoves in real time. "The Oracle says they'll detect us in 30 seconds, he reported over the secure channel. "They'll move to defensive formation Delta 7. Admiral Harris received this information and adjusted their approach. "All ships execute flanking pattern Omega. Target their blind spots exactly as Oracle predicted." The Earth fleet appeared suddenly from the Kralaxian sensor blind spots. Before the aliens could respond, human ships launched their first strike. Instead of conventional weapons, they deployed Dr. Green's nanite clouds. The microscopic machines swarmed through the Kralaxian ships, affecting the crews inside. Within minutes, 3 major Kralaxian capital ships drifted powerless. First wave successful, Harris reported. Minimal Earth casualties, moving to Phase 2. The battle continued for hours. The Oracle system gave humans a crucial advantage, predicting alien tactics seconds before they executed them. By the day's end, Earth forces had achieved what seemed impossible. They had reclaimed orbital control around their planet. Supreme War Leader Vrax watched in disbelief as his mighty fleet was pushed back. Never, in 3,000 years, had Kralaxians faced defeat like this. "Send the emergency signal," he ordered. "Call every available ship from the homeworld." His second-in-command looked concerned. "That would leave our home defenseless." "If we lose here," Vrax growled, "we lose everything. These humans must be destroyed, no matter the cost." On Earth, people celebrated their first major victory. But Alan Wright and the military leaders knew the truth. This was just the beginning. The Kralaxians had called for reinforcements, and the real war was about to begin. Image description for Leonardo AI. A spectacular space battle above Earth where human ships engage the Kralaxian fleet. In the foreground, Admiral John Harris stands, on the bridge of his flagship, bathed in blue tactical displays showing battle formations. Through the large viewport, dozens of sleek human vessels with distinctive blue engine trails are maneuvering around massive Kralaxian warships. The human ships are releasing clouds of glowing green nanites that envelop the alien vessels. Several Kralaxian ships are drifting powerless, surrounded by the green mist, while others are still fighting. Earth is visible in the background, partially, covered by atmospheric defense shields that shimmer with energy. The scene captures the moment of humanity's first major offensive, with the tactical advantage clearly shifting as the Oracle system predicts and counters every alien move. Dr. Diane. Murphy stared at her screen in disbelief. The message she had just intercepted from the Kralaxian fleet changed everything. "I need to speak with the president," she said, grabbing her tablet. "Right now." An hour later, she stood in the White House Situation Room. President Bell, General Simmons, Jack Miller, and other key leaders waited for her report. "I've been analyzing Kralaxian communications," Diane began. "I found something concerning. These ships here," she pointed to a cluster on the tactical display, "aren't military vessels. They're carrying their young." The room fell silent. Until now, they had seen the Kralaxians only as warriors and invaders. "Are you certain?" "President," Bell asked. Diane nodded. "The language patterns are clear. These are civilian transport ships with their equivalent of children. They're evacuating them from the battle zone." Major Alan Wright spoke up. "This gives us an opportunity. If we target those ships, we could break their morale completely." Several officers nodded in agreement, but others looked uncomfortable. "They wouldn't hesitate to kill our children," one general pointed out. "That's exactly the point," Dr. Murphy countered. "Do we want to be like them, or do we want to be better?" The debate grew heated. Some argued that in war, any advantage must be used. Others insisted that certain lines should never be crossed. President Bell listened to all sides before raising her hand for silence. "We face the greatest threat in human history," she said. "But if we abandon our humanity to win, what exactly are we saving?" She turned to General Simmons. "The civilian ships are off limits. Find another way." Alan Wright disagreed but kept his thoughts to himself. Later, in his office, he reviewed the Oracle's latest data. "If we can't target their young," he said to his team, "we need to cut off their reinforcements." The Oracle detected a communication relay station in the Kuiper Belt. It's how they're calling for help from their homeworld. He brought the information to Captain Susan Martinez, whose team had successfully deployed the disruptors earlier. "Can you take it out?" he asked. Susan studied the data. "It's heavily defended, but with Admiral Harris providing a distraction, we might have a chance." The mission was approved. While Admiral Harris led the main fleet in a frontal assault against Kralaxian forces, drawing their attention, Susan's team would slip past in stealth ships to destroy the relay station. The day of the operation, Susan and her small crew launched from the lunar base. Their ship was equipped with the latest stealth technology, making it nearly invisible to Kralaxian sensors. "Stay on this trajectory," she instructed her pilot. "The Oracle calculates it's their biggest blind spot." As they approached the outer, solar system, they could see the relay station, a massive structure with dozens of antenna arrays pointing toward distant stars. "That's how they're calling home," Susan said. "Once we take it out, the invasion fleet will be on their own." Meanwhile, Admiral Harris engaged the main Kralaxian force near Mars. The battle was fierce, with losses on both sides, but it served its purpose, drawing attention away from Susan's mission. As they neared the relay station, alarm bells rang out. "We've been spotted," the pilot reported. "2 fighter ships approaching." Susan made a quick decision. "Deploy countermeasures and continue to the target. We won't get another chance." Their ship rocked as enemy fire struck them. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. "Targeting systems damaged," the weapons officer called out. "I'll have to release the payload manually." Susan nodded. "Get as close as you can." The ship accelerated toward the relay station, taking more hits. Systems failed one by one, but they kept going. "In range," the pilot announced. "But we won't be able to escape the blast." Susan looked at her crew. They all understood the stakes. "For Earth," she said simply. The weapons officer pressed the release button. Their last missiles streaked toward the relay station and found their mark. The enormous structure exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the darkness of space. On Earth, Kevin Hayes watched through the Oracle's sensors as the relay station disappeared from the network. "They did it," he whispered. "Captain Martinez did it." The Kralaxian invasion force was now cut off from home, with no way to call for reinforcements. For the first time since the war began, humanity had a real chance of victory. Image description for Leonardo. The loss of their communication relay hit the Kralaxians hard. Cut off from their homeworld and unable to receive reinforcements, Supreme War Leader Vrax grew desperate. He gathered his remaining commanders. "We cannot be defeated by these humans," Vrax snarled. "If we cannot conquer them, we will destroy them." The Kralaxian fleet changed tactics. Instead of targeting military installations, they began attacking major cities. Kamikaze runs by fighter pilots destroyed buildings and killed thousands of civilians. In New York, Tokyo, London, and other population centers, people ran for shelter as alien ships rained destruction from above. Emergency services were overwhelmed. The death toll rose by the hour. At Defense Headquarters, Jack Miller watched the attacks with growing anger. "We need to end this," he told General Simmons. "They're targeting civilians now." A junior officer interrupted them. "Sir, tactical officer. Eric Barnes requests an urgent meeting. He says he has a solution." Eric Barnes was young for his position, barely 30. He had been working directly with the Oracle system since Kevin Hayes activated it. Now he stood before the military leadership, with a tablet in his hand. "I call it the Void Protocol," Eric explained, showing them complex equations and diagrams. "Using the Oracle's calculations, we can create localized gravitational singularities, essentially small black holes." The room fell silent. "These singularities would exist for only seconds," Eric continued, "but long enough to completely destroy anything caught inside their event horizon." "Are you proposing we create black holes in Earth's orbit?" General Simmons asked incredulously. Eric nodded. "The math is sound. The Oracle has run thousands of simulations. We can control exactly where they form and how long they exist." "What's the range?" Jack asked. "We can target individual Kralaxian warships with precision," Eric replied. "No collateral damage, but anything caught in the singularity would be gone. Completely." The proposal went straight to President Bell. She met with scientists, military, leaders, and ethics advisors. "I understand the ethical concerns," Eric said in the Oval Office meeting, "but we would only target Kralaxian warships, the ones currently murdering civilians." Kevin Hayes backed him up. "The Oracle predicts a 98.7% chance that the Kralaxian command structure will collapse after we destroy 3 of their command ships. They've never faced a defeat of this magnitude. President Bell stared out the window. In the distance, smoke rose from parts of Washington, D.C. that had been hit in the morning's attacks. "How soon can it be ready?" she asked finally. 24 hours, Eric answered. "Do it," she said. "But warships only. No civilian vessels." Engineers worked around the clock to build the Void protocol devices. They converted 3 satellites into delivery platforms, positioning them in orbit near the main Kralaxian fleet. While preparations continued, Dr. Diane Murphy worked on a final message. Using everything she had learned about Kralaxian language and psychology, she composed a statement that would be broadcast immediately before the attack. The following day, Earth forces were ready. Admiral Harris positioned the remaining human fleet to herd the Kralaxians into the target zone. The Void protocol satellites powered up, drawing energy from dedicated fusion reactors. "All systems ready," Eric reported from the control room, targeting the 3 main command ships as planned. "Send Dr. Murphy's message," ordered President Bell. Throughout the Kralaxian fleet, every communication system suddenly broadcasted Diane's message in perfect Kralaxian language. "Attention Kralaxian forces. You came to our world demanding war. We answered, but not as you expected. This is your final opportunity to surrender and withdraw. There will be no further warnings. Humans do not wish to destroy you, but we will if necessary. You have 5 minutes to respond." In his command ship, Supreme War Leader Vrax listened in shock. No species had ever addressed them in their own language with perfect intonation and cultural references. For a moment, doubt crept into his mind, but his pride won out. "No response," he ordered. "Prepare for another attack run." 5 minutes passed. No surrender came. "Execute Void protocol," President Bell commanded. Eric activated the system. In space, the satellites fired beams of concentrated energy at precise points near the 3 Kralaxian command ships. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then space itself began to bend. Small dark spheres appeared, no larger than a car at first, but their gravity was immense. The targeted Kralaxian ships were pulled toward them, unable to escape. In seconds, the massive alien vessels were torn apart and swallowed completely by the artificial singularities. Then, just as designed, the black holes collapsed and vanished, leaving nothing behind. Throughout the Kralaxian fleet, panic spread. For the first time in their 3,000-year history of conquest, they faced an enemy with power they could not comprehend. Image description for Leonardo AI. A dramatic space scene showing the Void protocol in action. 3 massive Kralaxian command ships are being pulled into small but intense black hole singularities. The black holes appear as perfect dark spheres with brilliant blue-white accretion disks around them, warping space visibly. The alien vessels are breaking apart as they're stretched toward the singularities, with pieces already being consumed. Earth is visible in the distant background, partially protected by defense shields. In the foreground, a control room on a human space station shows Tactical Officer Eric Barnes standing before holographic controls, his face illuminated by the blue glow of the displays as he monitors the Void protocol. Multiple screens show countdown timers and gravitational calculations from the Oracle system. The scene captures the awesome and terrifying power of humanity's ultimate weapon against the Kralaxian threat. Supreme War Leader Vrax watched in horror as his 3 most powerful ships vanished into nothingness. Nothing in Kralaxian history had prepared him for this kind of defeat. Their species had conquered 7 worlds, spreading across their part of the galaxy without serious resistance. Until Earth. In the privacy of his quarters, Vrax made his decision. A leader who lost so completely did not deserve to command. Following ancient Kralaxian tradition, he took out his ceremonial blade and ended his own life. The news spread quickly through the remaining fleet. Without Vrax, command fell to Battlemaster Kren and the surviving ship captains. They gathered for an emergency meeting. "We cannot win this war," Kren admitted, something no Kralaxian commander had ever said before. "The humans have weapons we cannot counter. They speak our language. They understand our tactics better than we do." After hours of debate, they reached the only possible conclusion. Kren sent a message to Earth. Unconditional surrender. On Earth, the news of the Kralaxian surrender brought cautious celebration. In the White House, President Bell met with her advisors to decide the next steps. What do we do with them now? Jack Miller asked the question on everyone's mind. We have over 10,000 Kralaxian prisoners. Execute them, suggested one general. They would have done the same to us. Imprison them permanently, said another. They're too dangerous to release. Study them, proposed a third. Their technology could advance our civilization by centuries. Dr. Samantha Green, who had been quietly listening, finally spoke. I've made a discovery that changes everything. She displayed her latest research on the main screen. The Kralaxians weren't always like this. Their brain scans show evidence of genetic manipulation. Their aggressive tendencies were artificially enhanced. Their capacity for empathy was deliberately reduced. You're saying they were engineered to be conquerors? President Bell asked. Samantha nodded. By their own leaders generations ago, they created the perfect warriors by modifying their own people. The room fell silent as everyone processed this information. If these changes were made, Dr. Green continued, they can be reversed. I believe we can help them recover their original nature. Thus began the Restoration Initiative. Instead of punishment or imprisonment, captured Kralaxians would receive treatment to reverse the genetic modifications that made them so aggressive. It was controversial, with many humans demanding harsher justice, but President Bell stood firm. We win twice, she told the world in a historic address. Once by defeating them in battle, and again by helping them become better than they were. 6 months later, Major Alan Wright visited the first rehabilitation center. The facility had been built in a remote area, where recovering Kralaxians could live in peace while their treatment continued. Alan still had doubts about the program. He had lost friends in the war and wasn't sure the aliens deserved this chance. But his job required him to check on their progress. A Kralaxian elder named Mox served as his guide. The alien moved slowly, his once fearsome appearance softened by age and treatment. Our young ones adapt quickest, Mox explained as they walked through gardens where Kralaxian children played. They have fewer years of conditioning to overcome. Alan watched the children surprised by their peaceful behavior. Do they remember their life before? They remember everything, Mox said. That is our burden, to remember what we were, while learning what we can be. They stopped at a memorial wall where names of both human and Kralaxian casualties were engraved. Why did you help us? Mox asked. After everything we did? Alan considered the question carefully. Because destroying an enemy is easy. Helping them become something better is harder. But Mo,